The world has changed in the last week with these devastating attacks in Paris, France. Not only was this a horrendous, radical, Muslim-based attack on France, it was an attack on Western civilization itself. The reason it was so stunning and so frightening was because it was an attack on soft targets. Targets that cannot be defended 100%. Showing that there is really no place to hide from such horror. This was not Islamic terrorists flying planes into buildings, where people could just say, well, to protect myself, I just won't fly. No, this was an attack right at the heart of Western culture by the Islamic State or ISIS. The attack was on people attending a rock concert, and people after a hard week's worth of work were going downtown to have something to eat, sitting on the streets of the most romantic city in the world. It was on people attending a soccer game. It was on people shopping, or whoever else just happened to be wandering down a random street in Paris, France on Friday, November 13th, 2015. And it came without warning on people who were busy going about enjoying their freedom. So what are we to do about this? What can be done to solve and rectify and respond to such a horrendous attack? In days gone past, when a threat such as this arose, the Western world crushed it and wiped it off the face of the earth. We stamped it out and we eradicated it, just as we did with the Barbary pirates, threatening our ships in the Mediterranean Sea when Thomas Jefferson was president, and then later on with Adolf Hitler, who was threatening to take over all of Europe. It took tough action against a tough and determined enemy. In the case of Hitler, when he was going to take over as much of Europe as we would let him. And the world, led by the United States of America, crushed the German war machine and saved probably all of Europe from tyranny. And what today will the Islamic State or ISIS do if we let them? What will they do if we don't absolutely eradicate them? What are they capable of? And what did it take to eradicate Hitler and a very powerful Japan? It took a determined president in Franklin Roosevelt, who was not afraid to stand up to the Nazis in Imperial Japan. And it took the never-surrender attitude of the British Prime Minister in Winston Churchill. It also took determined generals, such as Douglas MacArthur, George Patton, and the Supreme Allied Commander, Dwight D. Eisenhower, who later went on to be president. That is a legacy of America, and that is what America is capable of. And who do we have as president today? We have Barack Hussein Obama, who just the other day I heard him say he was not going to send in ground troops in the fight against ISIS after this attack on Paris, France. What? How can he possibly make such a determination at this point? He doesn't even know what he's fighting yet. Is it a good idea to send in ground troops right now to fight ISIS? No, it's not. But how can Obama possibly know what will happen in 2 or 3 years down the road, or even sooner if ISIS gets even more brazen? How does Obama know that ISIS won't try to invade Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Jordan, or a European country such as maybe France? Or what about Germany? How does he know any of these things? He obviously does not know the full intentions of ISIS, nor how much power they will be able to get in the very near future. And he has the sheer leadership-less audacity to say no ground troops, ever? I think I've heard every president in my lifetime say that he will not take any option off the table when facing militants or armies or enemies who want to destroy our culture. And here is a threat in the group of ISIS that just declared war on Western civilization and threatens everything we stand for and hold dear with these brazen attacks in Paris, France. And Obama says right up front, no ground troops. How could he? And what does he do in the meantime? He mocks the entire Republican Party based on the comments of one Republican presidential candidate who talked about not wanting to admit 3-year-old Syrian refugees into our country. And by doing so, he gets his entire sycophantic following to do exactly the same. Mock Republicans. What good does that do, Mr. President? Obama brazenly takes Chris Christie's statement completely out of context and never even bothers to mention that Christie was making the statement based on Obama's inability to screen for terrorists amongst the many refugees coming into our country. Christie was making a satirical statement. But instead of Obama just ignoring it, or actually answering the question straight up, which he seems almost incapable of doing, and actually showing some leadership ability by dealing with the foremost crisis the world faces right now, Obama decides to divide, mock, and hide behind immature, first-grade, playground humor. Who is this man? Does he not have any idea of the fight that we're in? Does he not understand the seriousness of the threat we're facing right now? Can he not simply just act presidential for once? Can he not show an ounce of leadership ability? Can he not call this enemy by name as they are in radical Islamic or radical Muslim terrorists? With Obama acting as the most powerful man in the world right now, do you think these attacks will stop? Do you think that ISIS feels even slightly threatened by Obama's inability to even act somewhat like a leader? This will not be the end of these attacks. These people are just getting started. They're not afraid of Obama. Do you think they actually see us, or more importantly Obama, as any kind of a threat to them at all? Has he given them even anything to be remotely concerned about? Or just flat out scared of? With Barack Hussein Obama as president, Islamic militants have nothing to be scared of. Maybe that's the way Obama wants it. Congress, please wake up and remove this traitor from our midst immediately.